Welcome to Learning Goal 7. Learning Goal 7 is all about different types of graphs and using addition and subtraction while reading those graphs. So you are going to have a little bit of vocab here. The first one is a pictograph, and you don't have to draw this exactly, but I do want you to just try and sketch in a really quick little sketch of what a pictograph is so you get the idea. But a pictograph is any graph that uses pictures to represent a quantity. So in this case, each eye, the picture, represents one eye color, one person's eye color. So you can see all the different eyes. That tells you how many there are. So write down the type of graph, pictograph, the definition, and then just a quick little sketch. And again, don't take a ton of time to do that part, but we just want you to have that to look back to. So that is a pictograph. The next type of graph is a
bar graph. And bar graphs are used often when you want to compare and show different quantities of things. So you'll notice here, and once again, we want you to write this down about bar graph. Uses bars to show quantities or numbers so they can easily be compared. And then just once again, do a little sketch like this. I know in science class we made a bar graph when we did our M&M activities, so maybe think about that. Just a quick sketch though, so you can have the difference between a pictograph and a bar graph.
Yep. And then the last type of graph is a line graph. And a line graph uses lines, hence the name, to join points, and each point represents a specific piece of data. So in this case, this example is measuring temperature. So often this will be data that changes over time that is connected by a line, so you'll be able to see sort of trends. So that is what you would use a line graph for. So again, write the word, the definition, draw just a really quick example, and then come back and we will go over some examples of how to use these to add and subtract.
All right, so let's look here at our pictograph. And one thing that you really want to be careful of when you're using pictographs is looking, of course, at the pictures, but then also the key and really thinking about what each picture represents. So in this case, we have different vehicles and then how much traffic there is and with those vehicles. And each little wheel actually represents 100,000 vehicles, which makes a big difference.
Yeah, the eye color one was just one person. This is 100,000, so it's very important to pay attention to that part.
So once you sort of wrap your brain around what the pictograph is trying to share, then you want to think about the question. Here it says how many fewer motorcycles traveled on Highway 25 than cars in 1 week. Now, it looks like we're comparing, and when I see how many fewer motorcycles, you want to think about, okay, what do I have to do with this information? I know I have to compare cars to motorcycles, and I'm thinking that's sort of like figuring out the difference. So I know that I need to subtract, or I'm sorry, are we having them pause?
Yeah, well, we just gave you a hint. So now that we told you it's a subtraction problem, try and pause it and then come back and we will see if you got it right or not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so as we were saying, you are going to use subtraction. And now once again, just being careful about this key, we want to think about, okay, how many fewer motorcycles than cars? So I'm going to look here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wheels, which represents 500,000, minus motorcycles, 100,000. So I should see a problem that looks like this now. And of course, since you're so good at subtracting now, you should get an answer of 400,000.
Absolutely. All right, so now we're going to do an example of a bar graph. So you don't have to draw this bar graph out, but you are going to need to use it to answer the question. So, how many fewer people attended the picnic than the concert during its second year? So if you can't see it, if it's fuzzy, we're looking at the second year. Purple is the concert, green is the picnic, and you want to know how many fewer people attended the picnic. So pause it, try and answer it, and then come back and we'll go over the answer. Okay, so hopefully you're thinking again, we're trying to find the difference. How many fewer? Fewer is like a big red flag you need to subtract. So we need to look at how many people attended the concert first. So I look up at my purple, drag my little line across, and I have 50,000 people attended the concert. And I drag my little line for the picnic across, and it falls right
Ooh.
exactly in between 20 and 30,000. So I, knowing my math, each of these must represent 5,000. So if it's in the middle, it would be 25,000. So if I'm subtracting, I take my 50,000 minus my 25,000, and you should end up with 25,000. So 25,000 fewer people. Last one of our examples.
Yes. Now we have our line graph here, and the question is how many total comets were bought in August, September, and October? Now, when I first read this, I wasn't even sure what a comet was, but then these labels are so helpful. Here it says number of bicycles, so I'm thinking a comet is the name of a bicycle. So now, once again, though, a lot of information here, so we want to look at our key. And for comet, we only have to focus on this blue line. We don't have to worry about tornadoes right now. So I'm not going to worry about the orange lines right now. So looking back again, how many total, ooh, that's different. We haven't heard that word yet. Were bought in August, September, and October. So I want you to think about what kind of problem you're going to do here, try to work it out, and then we'll share the answer in just a moment again. So hopefully when you're looking at this, you're thinking addition. Now, it might be sort of hard to see, but if you're looking here for August, we can look at our dot here and move over, whoops, and it should be 30,000 for August. Then we're going to look at September, same thing, travel over. Ooh, it's falling in the middle again. Same breaking points again, that each line is 5,000, so we should have 35,000 for September. Then once again, going over for October, scooting over here, 40,000. So we're going to add those three numbers up, and you should have gotten an answer like 105,000.
All right, now it is your turn to try some. So we're going to put it up, and obviously you're going to have to pause it so that you can look at it, but we're not going to give you the answer this time until tomorrow in your discussion groups. So the first one for the pictograph, again, pay close attention to the key and how much each of these pictures actually represents. And there's actually two questions that go with this. You've got how many more marbles did Sharon collect than Pete, and how many marbles were collected total. So you're going to be doing a couple of very different things here, so pay close attention to what the question is asking you, and then write it out carefully and use what you already know about how to add and subtract. And then bring that tomorrow.
And then you get to try a bar graph. Same thing, you're going to want to look carefully at movie sales, and the question is, looking at this graph, this bar graph, and approximately how much more money did Starfleet make than Voyage to Venus? So once again, thinking what the question is asking, if you need to, what kind of operation you need to do, please make sure that you're writing down your equation so we can see what you're trying to do to figure that out.
That's kind of fuzzy. So if the Starfleet is the one that's in yellow, Voyage to Venus is in red, and over here, if you look at it, it says sales in millions. So be thinking about that when you're looking at what these numbers actually mean. And there's one more, a line graph. So here's a line graph of measuring temperature. So you're going to use this to answer these two questions. How many degrees warmer was it at 4 than it was at 1? So take a look at that and see how much warmer was it at 4 than it was at 1. And then the second one, it's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, but you can get close because it's a prediction. So what do you predict the temperature will be at 6? Our graph ends at 5. So if this trend were to continue, what do you think it would be at 6? So go ahead and answer those questions. I think it was, 5 questions?
Yeah.
So answer those, bring them back tomorrow with your summary, and be ready for your discussion. Good luck.